Okay, so how useful are lists if you can't add and remove data from them automatically? The answer is not very. So in this lecture, we're going to go over how to add and remove data from lists, and you're also going to learn how to use the in keyword to check whether something is in your data or not. To illustrate these points, we're going to create a rather ridiculous security program. This program, called Travis, is going to have a list of known users, and every time it runs, it's going to ask for your name. If you are in the list of known users, it will welcome you and ask if you want to be removed from the list. If it doesn't recognize you, it will ask if you would like to be added to the list. Now, this is the most ridiculous security program ever, but it will let us illustrate how to do some pretty cool things with Python lists. So by the end of this lecture, you're going to know how to add and remove items from your Python lists, as well as check whether certain pieces of data are in your lists or not. You're also going to know how to combine all of this with logical if statements to control your code. And on top of all of that, you're going to have built an utterly useless program and hopefully had a few laughs. What's not to love? So let's get cracking. Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to do is create a new script. I'm going to call mine travis.py because Travis is the name of our security robot. So let me just go to the desktop here, Python Bible, travis.py and click enter. Maximize the screen. And fabulous, we are good to go. Right, so the first thing we're going to want is a list of known users. So let's create that first. Known users equals Alice, Bob, Claire, Dan, Emma, Fred, Georgie, and Harry. Okay, so there's our list of known users. And there's quite a few of them, right? If we wanted to know how many there were, we could just print the length using len of known users. Now, when I save and run that, we're going to see it tells us 8 because there are indeed 8 users in this list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The length function basically tells you the amount of elements in your iterable. So that's a handy trick to what you're going to want to keep hold of. Okay, now I'm going to cheat a little bit to make Travis a lot more functional by using something that I haven't actually introduced you to all that much yet. So I'm going to type here while true and type a colon, then go on to the next line. Now this is going to create what's called a while loop. Now don't worry about this for now, as we're going to cover loops properly in the next section of the course. But in summary, this line here is going to basically make whatever we type inside of the while loop run over and over and over and over forever. Okay, next I'm going to make Travis introduce himself. So I'm just going to type in here print, hi, my name is Travis. Okay, now we want to ask the user's name and store that somewhere. So as a quick micro challenge, try and use what you've learned about user input to ask the question, what is your name? And store the answer in a variable called name. Pause the video now and have a go, then come back here to see how you did. So how'd you get on? Well, I'd have done it like this. I'd have just typed name equals input, using the input function, what is your name, like that. And just for extra security, I'm going to put the strip function at the end in case the user accidentally enters a space. So if you got that, well done. You're definitely learning something from the course, right? And you've internalized all this information. So now we're going to want to check whether that name is in the list of known users or not. So for that, we're going to need some logic. So let me introduce you to the in Python keyword. I'm just going to jump over to the regular old Python shell, and I'm going to make a list called L, and I'm going to put in that 152, L equals 152629. Okay, now using the in keyword, we can tell whether something is in something else. So if I type 2 in L, we're going to get true because the number 2 is in L. Now, how cool is that, right? That's quite nice. If I did 10 in L, it's going to give us false because 10 isn't in L. So we can use these in conditions in our program. By the way, this is like a superpower when you compare it to how you'd have to do this in other programming languages. So just trust me on that. It's ridiculous in other languages. So we're going to need an if statement. Let's go back in here. We've got their name, right? And we want to check if that name is in our list of known users. All we have to do, if name in known users. Okay, then we do something. We would print let's say name recognized. Yeah, and if it's not, we just need to type else print name not recognized. So let's save and run and test that. Okay, so let's say I come in, it says what is your name? I type in Alice because Alice is in the list, and it says name recognized. Then the loop makes the program start again. So what is your name? And let's say I put in Z, and it says name not recognized. So now we've got a way, just using the simple in keyword, that the program can ask us for a name and it can check whether that name is in the list or not, which is brilliant. So one thing that I want to show you is Alice with a capital A work correctly, right? Now, you know that strings are case sensitive. So watch what happens if I just type in Alice in lowercase. It's going to say the name isn't recognized because Alice in all lowercase isn't in the list, but Alice with a capital A is. So we need to fix that somehow and allow our user to pretty much enter their name however they like. So we're going to do that next. But by the way, if you want to stop a loop running, you hold Control and C, and that's going to cancel the loop. I mean, this isn't a problem. It just says keyboard interrupt. I just stopped the loop working. So let's head back on over to our script. And now I want to see whether you can remember, how do you make the first letter of a string capitalized? Now, you may have guessed that we use the capitalize method, right? So what I'm going to do, if you did, by the way, that's fantastic. What we're going to do is when the user inputs their name, we're first of all going to strip off any white space, and then we're going to capitalize it. So you can see here that we've got one function, we've used a method on it, then we've used another method on that, and you can just stick on, like, methods after methods after methods, as long as they're all the same data type, by just using the dot method, and stuff like that. It doesn't matter how many you have. So now we're stripping off the white space and capitalizing it. So if I save and run it, we're going to see that if I type in Alice with a capital A, that works. It says name recognized. But if I type Alice with a lowercase a, it's also going to say name recognized, because internally it is saving the name as capital A, and then it's checking that. So we've given our user some more flexibility, which is nice and cool. So as this video is getting a bit long, I'm going to cut it here, and we're going to continue building Travis in the next video. So I'll see you there.